The Zwift Academy is both the world's largest virtual training camp and a global talent identification program. Last time round, 35,000 people enrolled, and now it's back for its 4th year. Zwift are hoping for over 100,000 riders to enroll in the 8 training sessions and 4 group rides or races that must be completed in order to graduate from the 8-week training course. Of those graduates, 10 super talented women and 10 super talented men will go forward to the semi-final, from which 3 riders will get the chance to go on training camp with either Canyon SRAM or Dimension Data to fight it out head-to-head with the professionals for a spot on a real pro team. Now, I retired from professional racing just over 12 months ago, and you may have noticed I have lost a tiny bit of fitness since then, although luckily not too much. And I am also quite competitive, and because of this, I like the idea of the regular training rides, a few competitive events, and I also think it'd be quite entertaining to find out how I measure up against the current crop of Academy riders. Can a former pro get picked up on a talent ID program destined to find future pros?
Well, that is a good question. But while Chris is stuck up a mountain trying to kickstart his pro career, I thought I would assume the role of his agent and try and find the answer. We're going to get a bit more information about Zwift Academy and ultimately find out just how the top men and women get selected. So basically, can we get a little bit of info on the sly that's going to help my mate? Now, Zwift themselves are based in Los Angeles, but happily, I just have to jump on a train to London to meet a chap called Tom Hargreaves, who's one of the architects of the Academy. We could, I guess, have just phoned him up, but it's always nice to get out and about, isn't it? Naturally.
As Sly whiles away a pleasant hour and a half on the train, let me give you a bit more information on the Zwift Academy. Yes, at the end of it, 2 people will receive their first pro contracts, but tens of thousands of people will also have the satisfaction of having graduated and gotten fitter, unlocking special Zwift Academy kit in the process. Also, and this is very cool, for every 1,000 successful finishers, Zwift will also donate a bike to the Quebec charity. How do you sign up then? Well, simple. You do of course need a Zwift membership and an indoor training setup of some kind, but then you simply sign up in the game. You can choose which ones you want to do from the dedicated Zwift Academy folder in the workout sections. They've been created by Zwift's coaches and they look pretty tough. Then you need to do those 4 accredited Zwift group rides or races. If you spread all the sessions out, it works out at about 2 quality rides per week.
In here is Zwift's UK base and Tom Hargreaves. So Tom, what's your role at Zwift Academy?
I'm one of the internal leads on the program, and I am on the panel of people that help select the top riders for Team Dimension Data Zwift Academy and who goes through to the semi-finals and the finals.
So how do you begin to select who goes through to that semi-final stage? You're sifting through tens of thousands of people's ride data. So I mean, what are you actually looking for?
So today's plan, the training platform does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. Everyone who's going for the pro contract needs to be on the today's plan platform, and they get a free premium subscription for the duration of the academy, so they can kind of track all their data. And from our perspective, we can use the filtering tools within that to start to whittle down the top riders based upon the power they're doing over certain durations. So, you know, the top 50 riders over a minute, over 20 minutes, 5 minutes, etc.
Now, I guess a few people as well, they might be sort of wondering about how you check for the credibility of the data. Presumably, you know, you could lie about your weight, for example. So how do you make sure that what you're looking at is accurate?
So I think when we get that top 50 or so, we start looking at the riders more individually. So we'll send them a survey and we'll ask them what their background is, how long they've been riding a bike, what their aspirations, what kind of rider do they see themselves as. And at that point, you're looking for, I guess, talent identification rather than just power identification. So are they on like an upward trajectory? Are they, have they got strengths from perhaps other sports that they might transfer over well into cycling, things like rowing or inline speed skating, for instance.
Let's talk about some of the previous winners, particularly last year's actually seems to be performing really strongly. So we've got Ella Harris riding for Canyon SRAM now. She took, the Best Young Rider jersey at the Vuelta a Burgos. And then on the Dimension Data side, you've got Martin Lavrich, who literally very recently has just been performing strongly at the Giro Val d'Aosta. So clearly you're doing something right in finding talented bike riders. Have you sort of evolved your process? I mean, everyone's always performed strongly having won the Academy, but it seems particularly now more than ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an element of luck in there, in that we can only select from a pool of people that apply. We obviously have more applicants each year. The numbers of people who are taking part is huge now, so that gives us more talent to pick from, so to speak. I'd say what we've tried to focus on is really the talent identification side of things rather than purely just power. So looking at the type of rider people are, ultimately how they're going to settle into the team they're winning position within. So we need to be confident that whoever wins is going to be able to thrive in the Women's World Tour or in the in a men's under-23 Italian calendar. And I think that just shifts your mindset slightly when you're looking at the type of rider. Obviously the pro teams themselves have a lot of input into who wins as well. So they themselves know the racing calendar they're going to be going through the next year, and will be trying to identify riders that will slot into their team and complement them with those races.
And then finally, are there any kind of tips or advice that you could give people embarking on the Academy that want to absolutely get the most out of it?
The one thing I would say is treat every single workout like it's an FTP test or a ramp test, because you want to finish that workout feeling like you've absolutely nailed it and you've done everything you can do. Some of the workouts are designed to give participants the opportunity to show what they've got. So that might be a 4-minute effort all out. And if you go into that, after a couple of days of hard training or after, being out socializing with your mates all weekend, you're probably not going to put out your best performance. Treat every workout like it's a test, because I think within the Academy it is basically.
Right, cheers Tom, thank you mate. That's it's a lot of info there to pass back to Chris, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed for him, eh?
Chris who?
Opie, the GCN presenter. He's going to do it, the Academy, and try and go pro again, so yeah.
Oh no, he's way too old for this. Yeah, the men's academy is looking for an under-23 rider.
Under 23?
Yeah, to ride in the Team Dimension Data under-23 squad.
Yes, so the Academy is open to everyone, and there is no upper age restriction when competing for the Canyon SRAM Women's Pro contract, but to be in the mix for the Dimension Data Development contract, you will need to be between 18 and 21. As Tom said though, everyone can see how they measure up, if they want, by checking the stats on today's plan. And we will certainly be checking the stats, looking very closely at Chris.
Okay, I'm not realistically looking to turn pro again. I mean, there was a reason why I retired in the first place. I'd reached a level that I was unlikely to surpass, and the motivation for doing the same races year in, year out, it just wasn't there like it was when I was younger. What I am interested in though, is how I shape up against the young guns and their computer nous that I'm yet to learn. Since I stopped racing, I celebrated retirement pretty hard to start with, and then the novelty started to wear off, and I realised it's actually easier to maintain than it is to build your fitness, especially when you have a young family and a full-time job. These days, it isn't unheard of for me to do my commute averaging over 350 watts for the 32-kilometre segment that I created. So I know that I'm in reasonably good shape. I'll be keeping you up to date on the GCN show each week, and I'll even let you know when I'm doing group rides or races, so you can log on, ride with me, and then either help me or hinder me. That's your choice. The link to the Zwift Academy is in the description below. That's it from me. Do wish me luck.